think it's very important to talk about the problem of demographic situations in various regions in Europe in the beginning of the general debate on the future of cohesion policy. And this debate has already started in the European Parliament and also in the Committee of the Regions. We are preparing a report on the future of cohesion policy. I am happy to be rapporteur. I will produce a first working document in the end of month in the Commission for Territorial Cohesion of the Committee of the Regions. And I can tell you that the problem of demographic situations will play a role, of course, in this opinion. I have read with much interest your briefing that you mentioned in the beginning on the situation of demography in Europe. I learned a lot reading it. I think it's a very useful briefing, a very useful paper, brings together all the problems and a lot of proposals for solutions. But allow me a small remark or a small correction. You have, in the end, a chapter, positions of stakeholders, and you start with the Committee of the Regions. Committee of the Regions is not part of the community of stakeholders. Committee of the Regions is, speaking precisely, not an institution of the EU, but it is an organ of the EU based in the treaties. So we are not an association of lobbyists or something like that. We are elected politicians in local authorities and in regional authorities. Just a small little remark. The theme of the meeting today is how can EU regions meet the demographic challenge? I think it's wisely formulated. You don't say that cohesion policy is the only solution. Cohesion policy is not the only solution, not the only means to fight demographic problems. In the first line, the regions themselves have to find solutions. They have to produce ideas. They have to be creative to fight their problems. And I see a lot of things that regions do to improve their situation. But demographic problems are indeed problems that have something to do, that have got something to do with cohesion policy. And I want to make some remarks on that. If we look into the treaty, we see that the treaty speaks of areas with, I hope I translated correct from German into English. They speak of, the treaty speaks of areas with severe and sustainable demographic disadvantages. And the treaty says that cohesion policy should fight or have special attention for regions like that. And if we look into the regulations of this period, we see that these regulations address regions like that in a very close way. It's the classic. I would like to say the classical regions with demographic problems like mountains, already mentioned here, mountains, islands, outermost regions, and so on. But we have to be aware, and what became already clear here in the words of the colleagues, there are much more regions with demographic problems than these classic regions with demographic problems. And in this period, on the basis of the regulations that we have today, it's not so easy for Galicia, for Saxony-Anhalt, for Thuringia, for other regions, to address demographic problems in their operational programs, because the room of maneuver is very, very narrow. It's very small room of maneuver. And I think this is a problem of the let's say the construction of cohesion policy in the period that we are in, and we have to analyze this, and we have to draw our conclusions for the future of cohesion policy. And I think we will have some good ideas and some good proposals for the future of cohesion policy in this respect. Allow me to make one remark in this context. This discussion supposes that there is a strong cohesion policy in the future. And in the moment, it's not so clear that there really will be a strong cohesion policy in the future. I had a discussion this morning with a prominent member of the European Commission and a prominent member of the European Investment Bank, and I see that there is a lot of interested looks from, for example, the aspect of the investment plan inside the funds into the structural funds, and there is a lot of interest maybe to shift some money from here to there. And I think we have to be very, very careful that we keep a strong and successful cohesion policy, good funded structural funds for the future. I'm absolutely sure that the structural funds have to cooperate with other instruments like the investment plan, like the EFSI. But the ESIFs, the structural funds, cohesion policy, they have a right in themselves based on the European Treaty. And Lambert von Nistelrooy will understand what I mean when I say this. So we have to make good proposals for a strong cohesion policy for the future to convince, especially the member states and the members of the European Parliament, that we will have this improved cohesion policy for the future. And one of the improvements, in my point of view, must be better addressing demographic problems in the regions with the help of structural funds. And I think we can very clear demonstrate that the problems that follow demographic situations are classical problems of cohesion policy, that are classical problems that are addressed by cohesion policy. I cannot go into details here, but I don't have the time, and a lot has been said already, but we can prove very clear that emigration, that brain drain, endangers the economic situation of a region, that it produces decrease of growth instead of increase of growth, that brain drain, that immigration produces joblessness, produces the rate of people increases the rate of people that don't have jobs, and so on. Classical problems that are addressed by cohesion policy. In my region, some years ago, we have asked an institute to make a study on the situation in our region, and they came to the conclusion that demographic problems create, I hope I can say it in English in the right term, create a kind of negative spiral downwards. You lose young people that emigrate to other parts, for example, of Germany. That next problem that is produced by that, step further down, a company that wants to make an investment doesn't find specialized and well-educated workers. So the investment doesn't take place. Investment doesn't take place. That means no new jobs are created. Maybe jobs are lost. And so it goes down, further downward, step by step by step. And this is, to say it again, this is the classical situation where for which we have created years ago, decades ago, the European cohesion policy, European structural funds. So I say, and I will come to the end because we need some time for discussion. I think we need to use better the chances of structural funds in the future to fight all the economic problems that are produced by demographic problems in the regions. And I am very optimistic that we can create a lot of concepts of good programs that can indeed fight demographic decrease with the help of the European solidarity. Thank you very much.